Hello and welcome to day 4 of the 5-day memory improvement challenge. We've covered a lot of ground so far. What I want to do today is give you a very simple technique which you can use for all sorts of series of things you want to remember where you don't have to remember them in order. If you have to remember something in order, then the memory pegging technique is useful. But here this is useful, say you've got a to-do list or a shopping list and you want to remember the items. You don't have the opportunity to write them down. Very often the best thing is to write a list down, obviously. But sometimes you're lying in bed at night or you're driving along the road and you're trying to remember something. And what you do is you construct a story, a vivid story involving the items on your shopping list or your to-do list. Let's say you're driving home, you're in busy traffic, you can't stop to write something down. You remember 3 important things you've got to do when you get home. You've got to call the plumber, you've forgotten to do that and you've got a leak in one of the pipes that needs mending. You've got to replace a light bulb that your wife's been nagging you about for a long time, has to be done. You need to sort that out while it's still light before it gets dark in the room. And you need to make a phone call to an important client, John Field. So you construct a little story. You imagine that as you drive into your drive, you open the front door of your house, you're flooded with a deluge of water from the leaking tap or the leaking pipe, which reminds you to phone the plumber. You wade through the water, you climb, there's a step ladder there in the middle of the room, you climb up the step ladder to replace the bulb. As you do, you fall off, splash into the water. You struggle up through the water and you go into the room, you look out the window and there instead of your garden is a huge field. And in the middle of the field is a telephone standing on its own. That reminds you to call John Field. Now, you put that picture, that little story in your mind, you drive home, when you get home, you remember the story very easily because it's so vivid. You open the front door, the flood of water, I've got to call the plumber. The step ladder, got to change the light bulb, look out the back window and I see the field, I've got to call John Field. And in fact, the more vivid, the more colourful, the more ridiculous the story, the easier it is to remember. And that works in all sorts of situations, very handy method, which I would commend to you. I hope you found that tip useful. I look forward to seeing you on the final video next.